An interlude with Artemis. The night sky is a wolf's mouth today, and Artemis, bathed in solitude, is on her wild hunt. I meet her by the silver lake and ask her about her alone and would she ever give it up for love. She chuckles as she gestures to the exquisite forest. What about love? I have enough. How can any one person compare to such splendor? I traded my duties for belonging to myself, for this wolf-wild heart was not made to surrender. This was a poem by Nikita Gill. I'm actually not quite sure who that is, but there you go. With that said, let me put on my face. Who is talking right now? Does anyone know?
No, who's talking?
Who is talking? Okay. Oh, this light in the background. Hold on a second.
Yeah, you always do that.
Hey, actually, the invisible person in the background who is making these idle commentaries.
What? Well, but first, what is this?
What space? The space show. All right. This is space show. We haven't done one in a little bit. Apologies. This is episode 216, and today we're gonna talk about the Artemis Lunar program. Before I continue, obviously, like, subscribe, share. You know, for you guys, longtime listeners, thank you for watching the show, and thank you for the support that Kyle Baker, Sam Welsh, and John Graves have been donating every single month. So, leading to this point where I've actually gone to the next step and basically went for the professional version. So if you guys notice, this is now a 1080 pixel resolution, as well as we don't have the annoying, the StreamYard little logo on the top corner. So thank you guys.
Some of us miss the little StreamYard logo.
Okay, fine. Some of us, meaning this guy right here. I always get it wrong. And you are muting yourself for no reason.
Hey, Shen. No time, long see.
Long time no see. Okay.
How's it hanging?
It's hanging, I would say. This is my latest shirt. I went to a punk rock show last night, which has nothing to do with space, by the way. Although one of their songs did mention space very briefly.
Yeah.
But that's besides the point. You're looking good with your signature colors and headband.
Well, thank you, and I'm at higher resolution now.
Yeah, even better to see your
or something. I don't know.
Your handsome face.
I never really noticed the difference.
I got some. So what are you like? What's that thing hanging around your neck? Just very briefly.
What is it?
Yeah. Yeah. What is it?
It's a Hebrew prayer.
Okay. I got to go with a religious motif.
Some of our people will know it as the Shema. Okay.
You know what this is?
It's a meteor.
It's
something you use to talk. It's what is it?
It's a yin yang symbol. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I see it.
And I also have a glow in the dark alien face. So there.
Oh, I want one.
Now I am properly equipped. Okay, I could get you one, even though I think you've expressed you're not a believer in extraterrestrials.
It's not that. No, I don't believe that. That I didn't choose to believe that. I want to believe. Just like Mulder in the X-Files. I want to believe, right? But you don't choose what to believe. What to believe chooses you, as I've expressed many times.
What you choose.
You don't choose what to believe. Okay.
Oh, by the way,
what you believe chooses you.
I'm going to point out that the poem I read very briefly is actually by a relatively famous poet, Nikita Gill, Irish Indian poet, actually based in South England. So.
Oh, that's cool.
That's interesting. So yeah, apparently inspired by the works. Her works are inspired by the works of Sylvia Plath, Maya Angelou, and Robert Frost. So. Feel free to look it up later. With all that said, let's jump into the show here. You have a lot of exciting things to tell us, Leonard.
I do.
About Artemis, since you're the preeminent scholar here on that, right?
Oh my God. No, actually, I don't know a lot about it.
Oh,
I mean,
okay, well, you probably know
you
more
know,
than I do. So save me,
it's an
please.
important, it really, really it represents humanity's, bold leap toward deep space exploration after, I mean, excuse me, over 50 years. And last time Apollo.
I feel like you're
But,
reaching out and touching my face.
no, I'm just. No, I'm just.
All right, go on.
The,
Last time since Apollo.
Technology.
Right.
So,
Artemis is back now for the going back to the moon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's actually the Apollo program was named for the Greek god Apollo, and so Artemis was his sister, I think, and she was Greek goddess of the moon, and actually she was the twin sister of Apollo, and that name was Artemis was chosen to honor the legacy of the Apollo missions, and which brought humans to the moon. And so Artemis then highlights the fact that the returning human, that we're doing this now, and she was associated with nature hunting and feminine independence, which I'm all about. And it makes it's like a fitting name that aims to land. Well, actually, it aims to land the first woman, one of the astronauts in early spring of 20. What year is it? I've lost track. I think it's going to be 2025. 24. It's going to be 25, and they will launch in 26. That was just recently announced. So there'll be a woman on board, which is, I think, a good thing. So Artemis also kind of.
So this is Artemis 2. So was there an Artemis 1? Can you? I guess just taking the story back. Yeah.
Yeah. So the key objectives here: return to the moon, create a sustainable presence on the moon, and also another good thing is international collaboration and cooperation, because it really is there's commercial companies that are involved and also international partners. So really, the Artemis program, it doesn't get counted, but the Artemis program began with an exploration flight test in 2014, and it's like I remember this distinctly. I was working at Boeing at the time, and that was an uncrewed test flight of the Orion vehicle, and I think it wasn't launched on the Space Launch System that's being used, so it doesn't get counted as an Artemis flight. But indeed, it was a test of the Orion capsule, which is the capsule that's being used. You'll notice that in the evolution of space technology, after Apollo, the United States adopted a kind of airplane mode in the form of the shuttle, the space shuttle, and we've abandoned that. We're not doing that anymore, and we can talk about that sometime. I mean, Apollo was a fantastically advanced and tremendous technological achievement, but it did not. I'm afraid it was not. It was sort of down the road of the wrong. It was the wrong direction, because that meant that we had to fly wings and landing gear and life support and all that kind of support things. I've often likened. This is a little bit of a digression, but I've often likened the space shuttle to the Zeppelins. Space shuttle of the 70s was the Zeppelin of the 1930s, because that was seen as like the future. But never mind. Let me get off that. So the first mission was EFT-1, exploration flight test, and that was launched in December of 2014. It was an uncrewed flight test of the capsule, and they tested the heat shield. They put it in a very high orbit, a highly eccentric orbit. And I remember they were mentioning that at the time, that it was the first time that they had really launched something into the interplanetary, cislunar space.
Not really
interplanetary.
This is just, some of the pictures.
That's from EFT1.
Yep.
So, and that was in 2014, which is 10 years ago. So they tested the heat shield, and I think it went well. And then in November of 22, November of 2022, Artemis 1 was ready, and that is a fully integrated vehicle that launched an uncrewed test flight all the way to the moon, around the moon, and back. And so it's really an uncrewed dress rehearsal of Artemis 2, which is going to have 4 crew persons. And yeah, that's that. Okay, yeah, you found an image of the vehicle, and it really resonates with the Saturn V.
Yeah, it looks like a Saturn V, but it's not, I guess.
Yeah, it looks something like it. I mean, it has those solid rocket boosters, which is the legacy of the shuttle era, the shuttle, and but it's very similar to that. There's it's a multi-stage vehicle, just like Apollo. And in keeping with the Oberth principle, that we talked about, and I can't remember Oberth's first name. He was a scientist, a rocket scientist in the early 20th century that inspired
Hermann Oberth.
Hermann Oberth, and he kind of invented this invented this concept of multi-stage rockets in the like really the first 2 decades of the 20th century, and he inspired Wernher von Braun. So
these pictures, there was nobody on these spacecrafts, right?
Nobody on these spacecraft. Now there is in one of the photographs that came back from Artemis 1 last year, 2 years ago now, was an image of the Earth rising above the moon. I don't have that prepared, but actually, there is a picture of the Earth there behind. There's the moon. That's the picture right there. You see that picture at the top?
Yeah, that's a really pretty picture. I like that one. That's like the Earth. So, yeah, it sees both.
So it channels that photograph that was done on Apollo 8 by the astronauts at Christmas time, and if you listen to the audio of in Apollo 8. And I remember that as a little boy listening to that, and they broadcast on television, but also they brought back a stunning photograph from the Hasselblad still camera that one of the astronauts grabbed some color film. In the audio, you can hear him talking, the recorded audio from Apollo 8. You can hear him saying, "Hey, that's pretty," and then the other astronaut says, "Yeah," and then the first astronaut says, "Get me the color over there," and so he says, and they hurry up, and he puts the color film in, and he cycled through all the f-stops, and we got this beautiful Apollo 8 photograph that really, maybe you can find it. Apollo 8.
If you're able to find it, let me know.
Yeah, find it. Show it.
You want me to find it? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could, but
Okay, so this was the Apollo 8 one?
Yeah, Apollo 8.
Moon behind Earth? Wait,
Earth behind the moon. Earthrise. Earthrise.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that really famous picture. Let me see. Were you saw that on TV then?
Well, I mean, they had TV, live TV being transmitted.
This is the picture, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Apollo 8, Bill Andrews. Yep.
Right. And before this, I mean, we were going to talk about Artemis, but I want to talk about this. It's really cool.
About this.
It's a little sidebar. And so when people before this, I guess the technocrats and the sciencey people, they kind of knew what the Earth looked like, but we never had an image, really good, clear image of what the Earth looked like from out in space. And this was a very emotional image. And so it's so thought provoking, where you think everyone alive is on this little planet with the black background rising up above this lifeless other body, the moon. And I don't know what I don't exactly know what else to say about it, but it was a very important point in human history when humanity was able to say that they could see the Earth as a planet. They made a postage stamp out of it also, using that photo. But anyway, back to Artemis. Let's see.
This is what you mean by the print strip. You got a color film, Jim? Hand me a roll of color quick, would you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God! Look at that picture over there. There's the Earth coming up. Wow, is that pretty? That's so funny. Don't take that.
Yeah.
It's not scheduled.
Right.
Yeah.
He was messing around. And,
yeah, that's a pivotal moment. Yeah, for sure. Okay.
So I just wanted to underscore that as this is a very important point. A very important point in human history where we were able to see the entire Earth, and it lifts our spirit and makes us. I'm not a philosopher or anything like that.
But you're an armchair philosopher at times.
So anyway,
continue talking about Artemis.
So Artemis 1 flew, and we did get those a few sort of photographs like that back from Artemis 1. And the aim of Artemis 1, which flew November 16th, 2022, was to test the performance, safety, and reliability of the integrated system. And there's a whole stack together with the capsule and escape system, communications, navigation, and it was highly successful. There was a communication blackout, which I don't know if they were able to fix, besides blackout with the vehicle being behind the moon. And so the development has continued on the manned effort, which is going to happen now. Just last week, it was announced that the planning has slipped for Artemis 2. Artemis 2 is 4 astronauts will go on a 10-day journey around the moon and back. So very similar to Apollo 8. And the primary objective would again be to test the life support systems, since they have life, they have people on board. They're testing life support systems and will validate the capability. So one of the things is there's a period where they jettison one of the stages, and then they do some maneuvers back to see if they can dock with it or simulate a docking with it, and also it'll also revalidate the ability of the crew to perform operations in lunar orbit. Although they're not really going to go into orbit. Let me see. Hold on. I have a photo.
So
I'm good.
You have a photo? Okay. You want to share it?
Yeah. Just a second. I can do it. Let me see. Okay. No, that didn't work. I would really like to get.
You can.
Okay. Present, and I'm gonna share screen.
Okay. You can just take it over, I think.
It's easy. It's with 2 monitors. Well, I know that. Well.
All right. For those watching.
What?
Leonard's getting ready to show us something. But just as more fun facts, like Artemis 1, Orion's second mission, it will also be launched from KSD in Florida, same as. And so it's going to enter a highly elliptical orbit around Earth for a 24-hour check of the system prior to heading towards the moon. But heading towards a translunar trajectory. So the The crew will fly Orion to 8,889 kilometers beyond the moon before completing a lunar flyby and returning Earth. So this is just going to swing
There you are.
and get back to
I don't know. I don't know how to. I don't know how to.
Boom. There we go.
All of a sudden, it started sharing.
Well, I had to click add to stage for some reason.
Oh, okay.
Go on.
So, all right. So this is okay. This poster is my office is in Building 16 at Johnson Space Flight Center, and this poster is all over the place, and similar ones. And so what they're going to do is they will launch from Florida, and then each of the stages here is sort of described. So they will launch into a low orbit, and then they will fire the booster to what they call raise the periapsis, because this is at the perigee. Perigee is the highest point, and so if you do a thruster firing at this point right here, then it will come around and raise the lowest point of the orbit, and then they will do a transfall as well. They will do a apogee raise burn, which then puts the vehicle into a highly elliptical orbit. So they have, and one of the things about Artemis, the Artemis program, and the Orion vehicle is that we have a service module which is smaller than the service module on Apollo, but the vehicle itself is much bigger. And they're taking advantage of an effect called the Oberth effect, which is that when the vehicle is traveling fast and then you fire the thrusters and add energy to the orbit, it's more effective at increasing the speed. And
basically, it's like V squared, right?
It's a calculus thing. Yeah.
It's a calculus. Okay.
Oops. So that will raise the orbit into a higher orbit, and this is a 24-hour orbit. So this orbit right here is going to be 24 hours. This is quite different from Apollo, and at this stage, there's the main body, the main orbit raising module is jettisoned, and then some maneuvers are done. Actually, you can see these over here in this epoch right here, where the main rocket is jettisoned, and then the vehicle with the Orion and its service module with solar arrays, then we'll do some maneuvers to test whether they can move around whether the maneuvering systems work and so forth. So there's a long period of time at this point of the orbit where these maneuvers are being undertaken, and this is all just a checkout to see whether whether all of those systems are validated and working well. If you remember, Starliner, the Boeing effort to build a vehicle to dock with the space station, I guess it's failed at this point. One of the things they had problems with was with their propulsion system, the maneuvering system. So once that's taken care of, and this is called ICPS, and I should know what ICPS stands for, but I don't. It's
interim cryogenic propulsion stage.
So this is so that's what the ICPS is. So it separates, and the crew module with its service module then will go to the higher orbit, and then it starts to fall again, and it comes down, and as it gets to a closest approach, it's at its highest speed, and then they will fire the service module engines, just the little service module engine, and that will take it all the way to the moon. And it's interesting because it will approach the moon. So when it's approaching, this is actually not really not really accurate. It's more like a cartoon, because when the vehicle is at a place like around here, let's say at stage 10, the moon is not in position yet, because it's not going to reach it for several days, right? So the moon will be off this image, but the trajectories are designed, and that's a main part of all of the work that we're doing on trajectory, is to try to get to approach the moon. And it will approach the moon in a retrograde direction, so it won't catch up with the moon. The moon and the vehicle will sort of intercept each other, and then as the moon passes the vehicle, it uses the gravity of the moon to slow down. And in this case, they'll simply slow down and then return immediately back to Earth. And this whole mission is going to take about 10 days. So this is interesting because we're going to be using the gravity of the moon to slow the vehicle down. On Apollo, it was more like it was a direct approach. And when Apollo went behind the moon, they just they did a long thruster firing in opposition to the direction that the vehicle was traveling, in order to just really brute force enter an orbit around the moon. But Artemis is not going to do that. They've this very sophisticated and very elaborate, complicated trajectory is facilitated by new technology with computer modeling and so forth. So let's stop screen sharing and put there we go. And
putting your face back on.
Sure. Yeah, not too many people have complained about that.
Wow. That's a great compliment you just gave yourself.
No, I haven't heard anybody really complaining. Maybe they do, and it's just censored out. But
agreed. If I hear anything, I won't tell you. Everybody loves your face. But point is, so you're the right person to talk to about this, since you are someone who's actively working on this.
Yeah.
So, when is this all happening?
Artemis 2 is going to happen in April of 26. Originally, all of us were targeting around. Yeah, all of us were targeting November of 25.
Mm-hmm.
And but the main delays and people really shouldn't get too upset about this, because really we're doing things that have never been done before, or doing it in ways that have never been done before.
I guess like somebody who is ignorant might be like, well, we did Apollo, we went to the moon. Why are we taking all these steps here? Like, what's different?
Well, in this case, yeah. Well, in this case, we're going to return to the moon, and so we're going to inspire a new generation of explorers. Think about how we've sort of lost the initiative. It's like people don't even believe in it anymore. They think they think it was fake. I mean, how could they have done this 50 years ago? And then,
well, yeah, the notion is they did this 50 years ago. So like how could they have done it? And because we haven't done it again. So.
Well, the thing is, when John Kennedy announced that we were going to go back to the moon in 1962, the government was the U.S. government was all on board with that, and so 3% of the national budget, more than 3% of the national budget through the first half of the 60s was devoted to going back to the moon.
Understood.
So this is on a shoestring. I actually did a little research on cost and budget.
Yeah,
because people gripe about that all the time. They're going, so it's going to cost $93 billion through 2025.
Well,
so it started, Isn't that that's a huge amount of money? I mean, how could, there's people starving in California, or people starving in.
There's a book that there's a book of letters that I have on my bookshelf, and one of them was like this nun was writing to this astronaut in the 1960s, saying things about how could your government spend so much money on space when there's so many starving children. And then he wrote this very, very eloquently drafted letter about how scientific exploration and how the future of humanity is actually helping everybody, and we can't like helping. There's always going to be issues on Earth, but you have to look.
There's always going to be issues on Earth, but more than that, this Artemis program is projected to cost about $93 billion, and everybody throws their arms up in the air and wringing their hands and saying how expensive this is. And well, I mean, so put that in perspective. Okay, the entire U.S. federal budget for that same period is $4.1 trillion, and I broke it down by per person. So Artemis will cost $269 per person for the expenditures between 2017 and 2025. $269 per person, and it's like, so wringing your hands and going, gnashing your teeth and going, well, you could buy a HD TV for every person in the country for that amount of money, right? And then compare that to the 4.1 trillion for the entire budget. That comes to $11,800 per person.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you don't have to convince me, but.
Well, I know, but I get tired of this. I get tired of this thing saying how expensive it is and how we're neglecting other programs and so forth. It's to me it seems like it's not expensive. That's not to say that there can't be efficiencies, improved efficiencies. And
let's go back and I want to talk about the long-term objective here. So we talked about Artemis 2. You went into a little detail about that. What's Artemis 3 about?
Oh, okay. So Artemis 3, that mission. Okay, Artemis 2 is not going to land. They're just going to fly around the moon, okay, and come right back. Okay, so you can go to the moon, but you have to come right back. Okay, there's no orbiting or anything like that. Artemis 3 is.
I don't know who this is, but is the budgeting completely secure today? No, I mean it's a federal government, right? So it's every year you got to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, but I think well, I don't know. That's above my pay grade. That's above my pay grade.
Good question.
I really don't like asking. I really don't like having to represent that, because I'm just like
you're just a highly paid engineer who does things. And the money,
I just do stuff, and I'm not even, even if I was not, I would still be advocating for this, because I just don't see it as I can't see humanity moving forward in history without doing this. Right?
I agree.
I just don't know, and I don't know.
Go back to talk about Artemis 3.
So that's scheduled. That's scheduled for mid-2027. So this is December 2024. So we're almost 2025. So that's about 1.5 years away.
Is that
2.5 years away? And this aims to land astronauts on the moon's south pole. Because one of the reasons for going back is that we've discovered that there's ice. There's water deposited in deep craters at the South Pole that are always in darkness. As the moon rotates very slowly on its axis, and there's regions at the South Pole that never see sunlight. And so the water that has deposited there from presumably comets and early solar system formation are collected there. And so this is a mission of exploration to actually land astronauts on the moon. I don't know about the detailed itinerary.
Well, I mean, it says
other than that.
I mean, it says this. Orion will perform a series of 2 engine burns to place the spacecraft on lunar near rectilinear halo orbit from 100% blah blah blah. Future missions will Gateway Lunar Space Station. Wait, does the Gateway need to be there in order for Artemis?
Yes.
To be okay.
Yes. So Gateway
talk
is
about that a little bit.
So Gateway is the project to it's intended to serve as a communications hub and like a science laboratory, like a little space station that's in lunar orbit. Effectively, it's part of the NASA Artemis program. So part of that money that was expended will go into Gateway, and it will effectively be the first space station to orbit, beyond low Earth orbit. And there's all kinds of problems with radiation and that sort of thing, which I don't really fully understand. Gateway is a multinational effort that's facilitated by the Japanese.
It's even more complicated than Artemis too.
Yeah, I was looking for that chart. I couldn't find that chart. So
Wikipedia,
thanks for finding that. Yeah.
So Gateway is there. I can see that.
Yeah, and that will be the habitation module for astronauts, and it will be the first space station that's outside of low Earth orbit. On this scale, the current International Space Station is orbiting around the Earth. And its orbit is probably as thick as a piece of cardboard on that scale. It's like it's just a little. The orbit is just a.
I don't know if this depicts the orbit of the space station, but I guess it's like this little part here.
Yeah, that's the Gateway.
Yeah,
so,
it forms rendezvous point and docking. Mm-hmm. So it needs to dock with the Lunar Gateway, which is the space station that's around the moon first, before it then is actually going to go to the moon. So it's going to.
And then the rest of the mission is comprised of what's the human landing system. I guess they say HLS, and so that's a component of the program that's designed to transport the astronauts from the lunar orbit to the moon's surface and back. And so like the key details of that were like they'll land on the surface, and they'll conduct scientific research and collect samples. That's what we do. And also this will be a test of descent modules, of a descent module. So I guess the key features of all of that human landing system will be the docking capability with Gateway. It seems to be like a test of it should be a very versatile system, and it has a crew habitat that will act as a temporary habitat for the astronauts while they're on the surface of the moon. So all of that's involved in HLS, human landing system. It's part of international cooperation with international and commercial, so SpaceX,
with
Blue Origin, and with the commercial. I misspoke.
Are they all building different parts of this whole system? Or?
That's right, and I don't know the current status of it. I think there's some controversy about whether it's on time and on budget and so forth, but I don't.
And this Artemis 3 right now, I mean, this chart says like 2022. So, but is the general mission architecture still the same? It's like 2 years old.
Yes,
now.
I think so. Yes, I think so.
The idea
is that
to 2027. You said
Orion will rendezvous with Gateway, and then the human landing system will depart or be effected from Gateway. So it's a separate system. This very much resembles some of the concepts that Wernher von Braun actually articulated in the 1950s. We did a show on Wernher von Braun that I thought was pretty extensive.
Oh, I'm muted. Sorry.
So this is going to give some significant steps toward achieving the goal. And
plan, of course.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
So I am. I'm getting more excited. I was like in a state of like a state of moribund stupor for the past
did you
50.
say moral stupor?
No, moribund. You know.
What is that? Moribund? Moribund?
Yeah.
Okay, no, I do know that word. Hey, I write poetry. I know words. You were in a state
yes.
Now you're not anymore.
No, I entered that state in 1972 when I was 14 years old.
In 1970, so wait, for the last 5 decades, you've been in a state of moribund stupor.
That's right. And then when I found out about constellation,
God.
kind of awoke in it, and I said, we are going back to the moon because in 1972, by 1980 we were supposed to have already been on Mars. And,
it was such an optimistic time period then.
Yeah, and so everybody listening to me tonight or today or whenever, you need to support
years
it.
In the future for those.
Well, not so much 10,000 years in the future because they already know what has transpired. You need to support this effort. Yeah, you need to support Artemis just for me. Just because
Why just for you?
Well, because I have been committed to this all my life.
Well, is it because you were moribund for 5 years? Not 5 years.
Yes.
50 years. 50
yes,
years,
because
actually.
I was sort of excited about the shuttle. I was trying to get on board with the shuttle, and I remember they said the shuttle, we'll be flying 40 missions a year, right? Every couple weeks they'll be flying.
It was such an optimistic time.
And
when you heard that.
And in the 70s when I was a teenager, I thought, yes, okay, so it's coming. And then they flew the first test flight at White Sands, and I was there. And then in the 80s we did a flight, another flight, and it was coming once a year. And I kept waiting for it to, for them to be able to do the 40 flights per year, and they never were able to achieve that. So in my mind, the shuttle was a big waste of, we were able to build the space station with it. It represented really powerful heavy lift capability. It was mainly pushed on the basis of its military capability. But then after the Challenger accident in 1986, when the astronauts were all killed, the Pentagon pulled out. They didn't ever do any more secret missions, and so it kind of we can do a show on that sometime. So I think the shuttle was. And people are gonna hunt me down and try to punch me in the eye when I say this.
Long dead. So
it's long dead, but it was a big waste. It was like gaslighting. I feel gaslight. I feel like they gaslighted me.
You were going for years during that.
I did. And I felt, and I gradually came to realize that this thing is not, we're not going to be able to achieve what we want. And then they had another accident, right? And it was the same thing. So anyway, and ISS is a pretty nice stepping stone. I think that ISS is like low Earth orbit, international cooperation, right? But now we're ready. We're ready we're ready, and that's what we're doing. So Artemis 3 that'll land astronauts on the moon, and it's going to go sometime probably June, sometime between March and June of 2027. And they're going to land astronauts on the moon on the South Pole. And it's a region with a lot of water ice. There's no question about that. And they're going to be collecting samples and doing research and
is there
learning how to live.
Admittedly, I haven't really kept up with this, but there's plans after Artemis 3 as well?
Artemis 4 and beyond. Well, so we don't have funding for that, but there's time. There's time. as advocates of this thing. Future missions will include docking to the Lunar Gateway, space station, and other exploration and development of the lunar infrastructure. Artemis 4 is expected to deliver additional components to the gateway and support long-duration stays at the lunar surface. So
my friend
and the ultimate. Oh,
sorry,
Alicia. Hi, Alicia.
Yeah. She says, "Well, the shuttle did help us build ISS, so it achieved a great purpose."
Yeah, but at what cost? I mean, we were shooting. Each flight cost $500 million each, and every time we flew, we had to take like wings and landing gear, and it was a technological marvel and great technical achievement. But so were the Zeppelins in the 1930s.
Whatever happened to the Zeppelins?
They started to blow up, and they had accidents and
what happened?
Yeah. So
I've always wondered why we still don't have Zeppelins. By the way,
because they're dangerous.
I like the idea.
I kind of like the idea too. I mean, it's
something really steampunkish about it.
That's right. Or maybe you might say diesel punk, but
hey, one of these days, sorry, as a complete aside, I was thinking you have a full-fledged steampunk outfit, right? You should wear it one of these shows. I will wear something weird too.
You want me to dress up in steampunk garb? So
I thought you like.
I was down on Dickens on the Strand, but I don't do Dickens on the Strand for people. In Galveston, there's a once a year after Thanksgiving they have what do you call it? Where they close off this area called the Strand, and everybody dresses up like Dickens characters or Dickens in that garb, in that fashion. So I participated with good friends Friday night, and
so I forget who is Lisa Hickey.
She might I might be an acquaintance.
Your acquaintance? My acquaintance? I know like I know a lot of people, and I don't remember all their names.
Right. Well, anyway, just say hi. Just say hi, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. I actually don't really know. I think all their songs sound like they're just screaming, which is probably why sometimes I like listening to it. I don't think I have a favorite one.
Wait, what are we talking about now? Oh,
DRI. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we are going to do Steampunk Day one day.
I hope. Absolutely.
Yeah. You know what I actually, I don't know if this is something that you've ever thought about, but one thing I would like to talk about is how, like what you just expressed, like certain technologies that at one point, we thought like this is going to be the future. And
that's a theme. Yeah, that is a theme that I'm very interested in. And Zeppelins
like
represent
technologies, that. I guess.
Yeah.
Or whatever you call that.
Yeah. When do you want to do that? We can do that next week.
I was also thinking like back in the 60s or 70s or 80s, like whatever, like people thought of the future as a way where we have flying cars and I don't know.
Right, the Jetsons. My favorite cartoon.
And then exactly, and then it's like this like projected future of technologies that never really transpired in that sense because they didn't think about a bunch of issues. Yeah. Yeah. We can talk about that. We can talk about. Like,
I think if you want to do a show like that, I think that'd be great fun.
Okay, next episode. Let me just put it now. Abandoned technologies, and we're both going to wear steampunk stuff as much as possible.
Oh, okay.
All right, and so yeah. So for anybody watching, or you want to spread the word,
abandoned technologies. I think that's a good title for it. Yeah.
Yep. Because this way, I've decided also that it's best that we actually state what we're going to do next time so that people have something anticipation for.
To look forward to.
Yeah, instead of saying, hey, like, we're just figuring it out next week, and then it'd be like a surprise, right? Okay, so next
That's
week
right.
we're going to talk about abandoned technologies, specifically on things of like zeppelins or flying cars or whatever else that you think
Yeah,
at one point people thought we're going to have by now or still have.
right.
So
The Jetsons will be our main resource. No, I'm kidding. But it's
and then
I think that would be a neat thing to talk about.
and then Leonard is going to wear his what do you call those, spyglass and a top hat with gear.
I have goggles. Yeah, goggles and
I got to dig around my wardrobe. I have some weird stuff there too. But so this will be interesting. All right, I look forward to that. So with all that said, guys, we gotta
got a boogie.
road. We gotta get to the real life or whatever.
We got to rock and roll.
Gotta rock and roll. Okay, so thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for all our participants. Let's see, what does Alicia say? Because I'm in space, my sister has a jet sings as a ringtone for me. Good job, Alicia. I'm glad you're such a nerd. Keep it up. Well, which I'm sure you don't need any encouragement from me. But with all that said, we'll be back next week. We've been kind of jumping around with timing. Leonard, is this typically a good time for you? Like, since like evenings seem to be a little inconsistent these days with weekdays.
I guess. Yeah, we have been having some problems with the evening getting. Plus, I'm tired.
Yeah, I mean, me too. At the end of the day, it's like I just want to chill.
So,
but yeah, we can do Sundays at this time. I mean, I just like say like 1:30. All right. So next episode, unless something drastic happens, will be a live show. Will be on December 15th at 1:30 p.m. Houston time. So watch that on your calendar, guys.
This is the only space show in the universe.
Pretty much. And for those of us listening 10,000 years in the future, this is how we, share information these days. Because in our modern 21st century, most people, for better or worse, don't like to read. So they would rather hear two guys talk about things.
Although I like to read and I like to talk about books and things like that. So we'll do that in the future.
We could do that too. This is not saying anything about either you or me. I'm just saying in general. Yeah. The general public's way to get information. Okay. With all that said,
really great show,
everybody.
Yeah, namaste, shalom, and